According to the Officer Down Memorial page, 199 law enforcement officials were killed in the line of duty during the year of 1988. Out of those 199 deaths, 80 of them were from gunfire. A brave officer was on duty in Ewing, Virginia, when he was brutally murdered. We are going to learn about that case. Welcome to another installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. In this installment, we'll be hearing about the case of John Martin. The case first aired on the January 18, 1989 episode of Unsolved Mysteries. The case of John Martin is a reminder that brave people put their lives on the line, even when it comes to tasks that may not seem to be that dangerous. If you know someone who is an officer, make sure you give them your thanks. Now, on to the case information. The person in question, his name was John Martin. His full name was John Lee Martin. He went by the nickname of Johnny. John was born on August 9th, 1949. As of the televised airing, John was 39 years old. As of the recording of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries, John would have been 75 years old. The location was Ewing, Virginia. The case classification is unexplained death. John was 39 years old when he was brutally murdered. Is this case on YouTube? Yes, you can find this in Season 1, Episode 14 of Unsolved Mysteries. The original televised episode air date was January 1989. And is the case solved? Yes, the killer was sentenced to life in prison. Okay, up next I have the promo for the case I originally aired on Unsolved Mysteries. It'll just give you an idea of what the case was about. If you would like, I will post a link to the full video in the description below, and you can watch it there. So let's turn this off. And then 3, 2, 1.
Last November, a Virginia sheriff was brutally shot while on patrol. Before he died, he described his attacker's car.
Okay, so with that said, or with that done, I'm going to take a quick break. Some commercials from the 1970s will play, and when I return, it will be with the case reading of the John Martin Unsolved Mysteries case. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
Avis Super Saver rates. Special rates that save you money. Like our 7-day See America rate.
Look out, L.A. Bye!
Or our special holiday rates.
We get to go to grandmother's house.
And on weekends, Avis Super Saver rates can save you up to 50% off our weekday rates.
50% off?
Up to 50%.
See you Monday.
Call our toll-free number or your travel consultant. Some restrictions do apply.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new to this series that I like to produce, basically this is the portion of the show where I go to the Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, and I will read to you the case of John Martin. So let's pull it up. So there's this. Do this. Episode 14. There we go. Okay, let's scroll down. Okay, John Martin. Real name was John Lee Martin. Nickname was Johnny. Location was Ewing, Virginia. The date was November 4th, 1988. 39-year-old patrolman John Martin was a 17-year veteran of the Sheriff's Department in rural Lee County, Virginia. In the early morning hours of Friday, November 4th, 1988, he was making his regular rounds when he noticed something unusual. A car was parked behind the Western Lee County Health Clinic in Ewing, Virginia at 2:58 a.m. He reported to the dispatcher of his hometown of Jonesville that he was checking out the car. As he approached the car, it started driving away from the clinic. He turned on his lights and stopped the car about halfway down the clinic's driveway. John told the dispatcher that the car was a large light brown car, possibly a Cadillac. He could not give them the license plate number because the plate was on the inside of the car in the back window. That was the last transmission he made to the dispatcher. Authorities believe that he left his patrol car and approached the driver to question him. They believe he asked the driver for his license. Instead, the driver pulled out a gun and shot him multiple times. As the driver drove off, John fired at the car. When John did not respond to the dispatcher, an officer that was about 7 miles away was sent to check on him. When Deputy Doug Parsons arrived at the scene, he found John lying on the driveway or in the driveway of the clinic. When he arrived there, he did not know what had happened to John. When he got to John, John said, "Doug, I've been shot. I'm hurt bad." Deputy Parsons contacted the dispatcher and had a rescue squad dispatched. Knowing John was seriously wounded, I was about to say injured, but seriously wounded, he tried to comfort him. The two were good friends, as well as fellow officers. Deputy Parsons knew that he had to maintain the scene and tried to get whatever information he could from John while he was conscious. He asked John to describe the driver and his vehicle. John said that the driver was in his mid-20s and had a mustache. He said that the car's license plate was in the rear window and that it was a dealer tag. However, he was unable to read the registration numbers from the tag. He gave a rough description of the vehicle. It was a large Buick from 1970 to 1977, light brown or tan. John was able to give Deputy Parsons one final piece of information about the license plate. It read, "Land of Lincoln," which is the motto of the state of Illinois. Deputy Parsons asked John if he shot the driver or the car. He said he had emptied his revolver into the car. Deputy Parsons checked his weapon and confirmed that it was empty. He had fired all 6 rounds from it. John was rushed to the nearest hospital 22 miles away. Suffering from 3 bullet wounds, doctors removed a .44 caliber bullet from his body, but he lapsed into a coma. 3 days later, he died while being treated at University of Tennessee Hospital in Knoxville, Tennessee. On November 10th, he was laid to rest with full honors. Police officers from 7 states and hundreds of area residents came to pay their final respects to the 39-year-old father of 4. John's widow, Tammy, said that although they had talked about it, she never thought he would be killed in the line of duty. She said that his death did not feel real. She believes that an officer's job is to protect other people, and that was all he was doing that night. She hopes that police will be able to catch the person responsible. Suspects. John's killer is described as an unknown Caucasian male in his mid-20s with dark, possibly black hair and a mustache. He was driving a light brown or tan Cadillac, Buick, Pontiac, or Oldsmobile with a license plate in the back window. The car was most likely a model from the late 70s. The license plate read, "Land of Lincoln," which is the motto for the state of Illinois. The registration numbers from the plate were not visible. Police initially issued composites of 2 men who were considered suspects. They were soon identified and located. However, after police interviews, they were eliminated as suspects. Extra notes. This case first aired on the January 18th, 1989 episode. It was submitted to the show by an official from the Lee County Sheriff's Department. John was the first police officer killed in Lee County in over 20 years. Results. Solved. In December 1988, home security business owner Floyd Barlow was asked by the Mills family to repair a burglary alarm system and install smoke detectors in their home in Effingham, Illinois. On December 27th, while working in the home's basement ceiling, he discovered a box of .44 caliber ammunition, a ski mask, a money bag from a Middlesboro, Kentucky bank, and an Illinois automobile dealer's tag in the bedroom of 24-year-old David Wayne Mills. He noticed a .38 caliber handgun. He reported these findings to the Effingham police. Sheriff Art Kinkelaar contacted Middlesboro police, who referred him to Lee County Police. They believed that the evidence was related to John's murder. Effingham police soon linked the evidence at the Mills home and John's murder to a stolen 1985 Mercury Cougar they had impounded on November 5th, the day after the shooting. It had been stripped and burned almost beyond recognition. Lee County Police asked if the burnt car had a bullet hole in the door. It did. In fact, it had 3 of them. There was also a ricochet mark in the trunk. Wow, I don't think they mentioned that in the video itself. Police believe that the bullet holes were caused by John's gun. Lee County Police sent a team of investigators to Effingham to continue the investigation. During their investigation, authorities uncovered information that linked David Mills to the car. They also discovered that he was visiting relatives in Lee County when the murder took place. On January 5th, 1989, Sheriff Kinkelaar obtained a search warrant for the Mills's home. During the search, they found the evidence Barlow had described. When Mills arrived home that day, he was immediately arrested. I'm wondering if it was just, let's say just the gun and the bullets, or the ammunition. If it was just the gun and the ammunition, would they, really have done anything? They would have probably just said, hey, that's probably their stuff, You may not want to snoop in their stuff, but since there was like a money bag, there was a ski mask, there was that the car's identification plate or whatever it was called. I'm pretty sure that's what really started to get the police interested in what the person located. I'm pretty sure if it was just the gun and ammunition, I'm pretty sure that nothing would have really turned out from that. Okay, let's see. During questioning, Mills told police that he had stolen the Cougar from an Effingham dealership and drove it to Lee County. He said that he had an accomplice, Middlesboro, Kentucky resident Jerry Wayne Houston, had gone to the clinic to rob it when John showed up. Oh, hold on. Sorry, guys. Let's see here. Sorry, I got a little bit mixed up here. He claimed that John approached them. Houston pulled out Mills's .44 caliber Smith & Wesson and shot John after the shooting. He gave the gun to his grandfather. He later returned to Effingham and used kerosene to burn the stolen car. Authorities located Mills's gun at his grandfather's home. Ballistics tests confirmed that it was the gun that killed John. Shortly after his arrest, Mills was extradited back to Virginia to face first-degree murder charges. Around that same time, Houston was under arrest for unrelated burglary charges and questioned about the murder. However, no formal charges were ever filed against him. Investigators stated that there was no evidence that Houston was involved. Investigators believe that Mills was planning to burglarize the clinic when John showed up, and that he panicked and killed him. The charges against Mills were later elevated to capital murder. In November 1989, he went on trial for John's murder. He maintained that Houston was the one that shot John. Geez, what a guy. He's trying to blame everybody but himself, basically. However, a friend testified that she had received a phone call from Mills in which he admitted shooting John during an attempted robbery of the clinic. After deliberating for 4 hours, the jury found him not guilty of capital murder. Oh, that's bullshit. He killed a cop. Unless the cop is crooked, if you kill a cop, unless they're crooked, it should be like automatic capital offense. No matter what fucking state you're in, it should be a capital offense. They found him not guilty of capital murder, but guilty of first-degree murder. He was also found guilty of plotting to burglarize the clinic. He was sentenced to life in prison for the murder plus 10 years for attempted burglary. He is serving his sentence at the Buckingham Correctional Center. So this guy's been in prison for 30 years almost. But yeah, about 30 years. Let's see here. When was he? Does it have a date again? I can't recall what it was. Search warrant. So let's say 1989. Let's say 1989. 89 to 99. 99 to 2009. 2009 to 2019. Almost 26 or 36 years. This piece of shit who killed a police officer has been able to stay alive, and he's basically having 3 hot meals and a nice warm bed, all on your dollar. That's right. If you're a taxpayer, you are paying to keep a cop killer alive. Maybe I'm just cruel and mean, I guess you could say, but to me, if you kill somebody, especially a cop, and that cop is a good person, maybe you should have the death penalty. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's an insult that this guy, it isn't even like he was really, he didn't even really show any, he wasn't even apologetic, you know, like he was trying to push this murder, you know, off on another person. He did not learn his lesson at all. He was trying to claim that his friend, whatever his fucking name, Houston, I think it was, that his friend was the one that killed John. This guy was trying to get out of any consequences, and the most he got was fucking life in prison. It should have been a capital charge. He should have got the death penalty. Not cool. Not cool at all. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned. I think that if you kill somebody, you should forfeit your life, unless you are killing somebody in defense of a person. Let's say you go into an alley. You find a person raping another person. The rapist has a knife to the woman's throat. You walk over and you shoot that person. That, to me, would be a justifiable kill because of the fact that you were protecting somebody who was being violated at the time. If you cannot prove that the person you killed them under, you know, because you were protecting somebody, it should be an automatic death sentence. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. That's just the way I think, though. Okay, so let's go to John Martin at Find a Grave. Sergeant John Lee Johnny Martin. Let's see. Let's go down here. He was born August 9th, 1949 in Jonesville, Lee County, Virginia, USA. Date of death was November 7th, 1988. Age 39. Location was Knox County, Tennessee, USA. He is buried at the Lee Memorial Gardens in Woodway, Lee County, Virginia, USA. And then it has, you know, a little bit of a biography here. Let's take a look at the pictures. So we have a picture of Lee. I'm guessing he may be in his uniform, but I can't tell, like, the jacket is actually part of the uniform or not. Here he is with, you know, here's the marker. Sergeant John L. Martin. August 9th, 1949 to November 7th, 1988. And then here we have a further zoomed out picture. I'm guessing this picture was done during the summer. Does it? Yep, June 2013. Well, you can't really see it here. Let me turn off my camera real quick. Okay, as you can see here, it says June 3rd, 2013. So I kind of figured this was during the summer because of how bright the flowers are. You got the flag, so yeah. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go down to the family. He actually had a little bit of a larger, I don't want to say a large family, but he had family members. Let's see, his parents, father was Robert Milford Martin, 1919 to 2001. We have Elizabeth Pridemore Martin, 1922 to 2002. Wow, they were born pretty close to each other, and they died within a year of each other. Wow. He had 3 siblings: Molly Darlene Martin Miller, 1951 to 2021; Gerald Warren Martin, 1953 to 1976; Ernest Gordon Martin, 1962 to 1996, and he had a spouse, Ernestine Allen Martin, 1955 to 1980. They were married 1972. And that is sadly it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the case of John Martin. John was basically he was killed because he was doing his job. He was trying to prevent a crime from happening, and he ended up, being killed for that. And I honestly think that, like I said, capital murder should be capital charges should be like mandatory when you kill a law enforcement officer. But ultimately, that's up for you to decide. Do you think that killing a police officer is a death? Is an offense punishable by death? What do you think? When I return, ladies and gentlemen, it will be with my final thoughts. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back.
With this high-powered 30 caliber rifle, we're going to try to blast open this master lock model number 15. We blew a half-inch hole clear through, but the master lock still holds tight. If you want to hold on to what you've got, insist on genuine master locks, known for being tough under fire.
Okay, time for the final thought. What is there to say that I haven't already said, ladies and gentlemen? We have a guy who did his job, who by all sounds was a nice guy, and he was brutally killed because a piece of shit criminal decided that he wanted to break into a place, and when he was being stopped, he thought it was okay to shoot and kill somebody. Not only did we have a piece of shit criminal who killed a police officer, he didn't even accept any responsibility. Until the day he was ultimately sentenced, he kept pushing it off on his friend. That alone, in my opinion, should have given him the death penalty. The guy showed absolutely no remorse. He showed no remorse. He did absolutely nothing to show that he was sorry for what he did. Why are we keeping criminals who will attempt to try and push off, their crimes onto other people? Why are we giving people like that a choice? No, you killed a cop. You killed somebody. You forfeit your life. Were you protecting somebody when you killed that cop? No, you were not. Therefore, you should lose your life. That is my opinion. And, I've had that opinion for quite a long time. You take a life, you forfeit a life. But ultimately, I'm not the one here that, is the judge, jury, and, executioner. Ultimately, what my job is just to read you the case, give you my thoughts, and ultimately you are to make your own decision. You can say, hey, the guy should be in prison. Jeff, he shouldn't be executed. Or you could say, Jeff, you're right, he should be executed. He ruthlessly killed the police officer, and he needs to pay the price. Ultimately, it's all up to you. Next installment, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the case of Leo Joseph Curry, or just Leo Curry, if you prefer. Basically, from what I understand, I cannot really recall that much about this case. From what I do remember, I think this guy owned a business and he tried to force out competition, and he used some pretty lethal tactics to try and keep his piece of the pie, I guess you could say. And like with the promo for this, for the John Martin case, I actually have the promo for the Leo Corey case. So here it is.
Racketeer Leo Corey has been charged with extortion, robbery, and murder. He has eluded the FBI for 10 years.
Okay, so that is what you can look forward to for the next episode, or next installment of Black Site Files from Unsolved Mysteries. As always, I am very grateful to each and every one of you who have taken the time out of your day to watch this case. And you may learn something new about this case. You may have never heard of this case. But I hope that whatever your position is, I hope you come to your own conclusion about what you think should happen. Should the killer, face the death penalty? Are you okay with him serving life? That is ultimately up to you. I just like to read you these cases. As always, if you like what you watch, which I hope that you did because I like reading them to you, feel free to leave a comment if you would like in the comment section. Feel free to click that subscribe and the like button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're watching on Facebook. And that is it. Next time I will see you for the next installment, which is the Leo Corey case. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse. Wishing you all a great day and stay safe, everybody. Peace out.
Introducing the new St. Regis by Dodge, a full-size car with value you can measure. For instance, St. Regis has more interior room than Chevy Caprice, a larger trunk, longer wheelbase, yet our six-cylinder gets better mileage. One more important measure of value. For all its superiority, St. Regis actually costs slightly less than a comparably equipped full-size Chevy Caprice. The new St. Regis by Dodge, full-size value you can measure.